Welcome to episode 56 of Fascinating, a Star Trek podcast. Spock's brain.
In this week's episode, Kirk and McCoy must recover Spock's brain after it is stolen by a matriarchal alien race seeking a new controller. With their friend's chance of survival slim, they must work quickly to not only recover the brain, but find a way to restore it to Spock's body without damaging it or killing him. But can they do it? Or is it time to say goodbye to our Vulcan hero?
Now, those women could never have set up anything as complex as this has to be. Why, that takes engineering genius. But there's no sign of engineering genius in any of those women.
Good evening, Ian. Nice to have you back.
Yes, welcome back, Gerry. How are you?
Refreshed?
Yes. You?
No.
No. It doesn't feel like we had any break at all, to be honest.
No, it doesn't.
In fact, did we have a break?
Barely. Glad to be back, Gilbert. Glad to be back.
The listeners have had a break. It's been about a month since the last time.
They want more, demanding more of a break.
Yeah, give us the rest of the year. Good episode to come back with.
Interesting episode to come back with. One of the episodes, obviously, that I have heard chatter about.
Yeah, people don't like it.
They don't. I must admit, the first note I have taken is, what is this shit? However, I don't think, it doesn't evoke as much, I suppose, anger as it would appear to in the sort of hardcore fans. It's more laughable. It's more comedy nonsense.
But it's not the only laughable episode we've had.
No?
I didn't feel it was particularly out of step with some of the others, like the apple or the Roman one, bread and circuses.
See, I'm trying. It's hard now because you've been, or I've been, preconditioned in a way to expect this to be terrible. I'm trying to think if I had heard nothing about it, what my reaction would have been. I do think it is worse than the other episodes you mentioned there. I think it is more. I don't know. I just laughed at it. I couldn't take it as serious, and it's not as if the other episodes are hugely somber, but it was silly. Is
it more silly than Shore Leave when you've got white rabbits showing up and knights and whatever else?
No, but I think that was played for a laugh. That was meant to be sort of a hallucination or a nonsensical happening. But I think the characters are playing this seriously. And that's where the problem might arise.
I think the worst thing about this episode is Scotty's new look.
Oh, we'll get to that. We shall get to that. I'm not sure it's the worst thing, but it's one of the most standout things.
No, for sure. Season 3 in general is widely seen as the weakest season.
It's the last. You would expect it to be so. If it was better than others, it might not be the last.
Well, it's one way of looking at it, I suppose.
Most TV shows, there's a downturn towards the end.
Usually for reasons.
Yeah. Are there reasons?
Well, I would imagine reduced investment. People who know it's ending don't put as much focus on it if they've got other projects going on. Yeah, well, I mean, without wanting to give things away, is it the same core of writers, directors that... No, for a start, Dorothy Fontana's gone now. She left at the end of season 2. Right, you must have mentioned that. Yeah, and this episode's directed by Mark Daniels, but he doesn't come back again. This is his last episode out of, I think he did 14, didn't he? We mention it every time he's on. There's other things that change. And some of the folk they bring in, they maybe just don't get the concept as well as others. You have to blame the writing. That's the only thing you can blame. Well, and the studio. Yeah, but the studio will be to blame for the writing. Well, I suppose. Because it's the same cast, as far as I'm aware, and the same set, etc. So it's not as if they've taken budget away from the performers or... Sure, but if the stories are restrained by what they are allowed to spend on them, that can make a difference as well. It's maybe not just the writer's fault exclusively. I wonder what the actors thought of it during filming. But again, maybe they didn't care because, as we know, when they're making this, they don't realise they're making such a culturally significant TV show, and they're thinking, who cares, it's last season, let's just go on with this, we're just jobbing actors. Well, apparently Leonard Nimoy was humiliated and embarrassed throughout the recording of this episode. Yeah, I can imagine that. I can understand it. We'll get into that. Shall we get into the episode? Let's crack on. At least we start on the bridge. Yep, red alert, there's an alien vessel approaching.
Yeah, the crew apprehensively watch the screen as this small unknown vessel approaches. Spock is not entirely sure what it is, but does note that it has ion propulsion, but of a unique technology.
Yes, they don't recognise it at all, and Uhura reports there's no response to their efforts to communicate.
And then, as you alluded to, we have an almost, in fact I have to say, unrecognisable Scotty. I didn't realise it was him until he spoke. He seems to have lost weight and severely changed his hairdo.
And raised his waistband.
Yes.
About 6 inches.
What do you think? Do you think it's an improvement? I mean, it's different, but do you think you just don't like it perhaps because it is different?
Maybe because it is different, yeah.
A little bit more modern.
We'll see if we get used to it.
I wonder, do we know whose decision that was? Was that James Doohan himself, do you think, who thought maybe he was getting a bit more publicity and wanted to sharpen himself up? Or do you think that the producer says, right, we're going to change your look?
I don't know. I can't imagine the producer would have had that much. And maybe in the hairstyle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's lost weight, though. I don't think that would be down to the studio or the producers.
No, not the weight loss, but it wasn't. So, yeah, it must have been down to the actor, because if he's lost weight, it would suggest a deliberate effort to change his...
Yeah, how he appears.
Yeah. But I'm wondering why.
Maybe he got a big new contract for season 3.
Yeah. Did he look at himself on the old episodes and think, I don't like what I see there?
Hard to say. I wouldn't have thought so. He doesn't seem a man obsessed with his own ego.
Has he spoken about it before in interviews? The big dramatic change?
I'm not sure anyone's noticed it before.
Oh, away you go. I did not. I'm thinking, who is this chap standing here? And he spoke, and I was amazed.
Yeah.
Anyway, good luck to him.
Absolutely. He's got no input here for Kirk anyway.
No, he doesn't. But he does. He thinks it's a beauty, the ship that he's looking at.
He does.
Spock confirms there is one life form on board which is humanoid or similar before they pick up a transferal beam directed at the bridge.
That sounds like a transporter beam.
Well, the transporter uses a transferal beam.
No doubt. Kirk calls for security as a woman materialises and grins at them.
Yeah, she's dressed a bit like Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. Purple thigh-high boots and a smile. She appears via a green cloud, and what does she immediately do?
Well, before she does anything, Kirk tries to introduce himself, and then she presses a button on her wristband which turns off the power and makes everyone collapse.
Yeah, it's obviously a weapon. She uses this device again, and we see that everyone on board has been assaulted in the same way.
Yeah, she then walks over to Spock and puts her hand on his head. We then get the credits with their fancy new blue font.
Oh, I skipped the credits again.
It's fancy and blue now.
Right, I'll watch it next week.
Okay.
And we're back in the bridge. The lights come back on, and at this, everyone wakes in a state of confusion, but Spock isn't there.
No, he's missing. Sulu reports there's no change in their location, and as Uhura gathers condition reports, we hear McCoy on comms urging Kirk to get to sickbay ASAP.
And there we find McCoy and Chapel are leaning over Spock, who they are scanning whilst he is unconscious and wearing an odd gold band, sort of turban type thing around his head. Kirk and Scotty burst in and are initially relieved to find that he is alive, although on a life support. And he asks McCoy how he found him.
He does.
He isn't clear with an answer at first, so Kirk asks if he was found dead. But McCoy reveals something even funnier, worse than that.
His brain is gone. It's been removed surgically. How could he survive? It's the greatest technical job I've ever seen. Every nerve ending of the brain must have been neatly sealed. Nothing ripped, nothing torn. No bleeding. It's a medical miracle.
His brain is missing. And Spock is dying.
No. An incredible Vulcan physique hung on to the life support cycle took over. His body lives, the autonomic functions continue. But there is no mind.
That girl.
Aye. What girl?
From that ship. She took it. I don't know why. where, but she must have taken it. Bones, how long can you keep him functioning?
I can't give you any guarantee.
That's not good enough, Doctor.
If it happened to any of us, I would say indefinitely. But Vulcan physiology limits what I can do. Spock's body is much more dependent upon that tremendous brain for life support.
We'll have to take him with us.
Take him where?
In search of his brain, Doctor.
This is hilarious.
They could be setting up a wee mini-series here, The Hunt for Spock's Brain. And it's like, they're all running around with this body.
I think, as I mentioned earlier, this is why it's more ridiculous than any other episodes, because they're playing this so seriously.
He's had his brain removed.
Yeah. It's nonsense.
Swear Trek, the great Twitter account, does a good alternative version of this episode.
Does it?
Where he's had his dick removed.
Mm-hmm.
And basically everything else is the same.
Okay.
Just change the subtitles on all the shots.
Did they do ADR on the video?
It's not audio, it's just like...
Is there not an audio version?
Little GIFs with the subtitles.
So there's no video version of that?
No. They should do that.
Yeah, it'd be easy enough to do.
Yeah.
I might do it.
It'd be a better episode.
I could do it in the Scottish dick.
You can't live without it. Every nerve ending has been replaced. Yeah, so that wouldn't really work, would it, if you remove someone's brain?
Well, no, the Vulcan physiology.
They make out, though, that it's worse for him because his brain's so powerful, he's going to die. A human would also die without their brain.
Yeah. You'd have thought so. Well, I know there's a few, I think, that have had their brains removed and they're still operating. Some of them in...
Government.
Yes. Anyway, McCoy is incredulous at the suggestion they're going to...
Yeah, he says they're not going to find it, and even if they do, he can't put it back. He doesn't know how to do it.
Understandable, yeah. Kirk, however, says that whoever stole it has the ability, and he will force her to do it. Not for the first time, eh?
Well.
And as he sets off, McCoy gives them a deadline, a very specific deadline of 24 hours.
Yeah,
so from someone who doesn't know anything about it...
Yeah, completely contradictory to what he just said. I mean, I don't know how long it'll be, don't know how long he'll live. He's a Vulcan, so it'll be less than a human. Can't give you any guarantees. Exactly 24 hours.
And they use that as some sort of countdown.
Yep. So Kirk tells him to prepare Spock's body. What's he going to do to Spock's body?
Just clean it up, scoop it out, make sure it's tidied up, maybe a little air blower inside.
Yes, just get all the dust out of the brain cavity.
That's what you do, yeah. On the bridge, Sulu has detected the ion trail, which Chekhov says leads to system Sigma Draconis, and so they follow at warp 6.
They do, and then we get a captain's log saying that they've been following that trail for 15 hours and 20 minutes, so that's most of the 24 hours gone.
That was 5431.4.
They've now got 8 hours and 40 minutes exactly left.
This is based on his assumption. A guy who's told you he knows nothing about... Oh, dear me. Anyway, back to the bridge.
It's also quite convenient, sorry, that it's 24 hours, like an Earth day.
Yeah.
There's completely no meaning anywhere else in the galaxy.
No.
Anyway.
A parsec?
Yes.
What is that again?
I can't remember.
Okay.
On the multiple of light years.
On the bridge, there is bad news as Sulu lets Kirk know that they have lost the trail.
Yes, they need to do an extreme sweep, which is like a sweep with incredible prejudice.
So Kirk asks for the schematic of Sigma Draconis, and they learn that the system has how many planets?
Well, they scan harder than they've ever scanned before, and they find that there are 3 habitable planets.
Class M's?
Which there's at least 6. I don't know if there's more than 6.
9.
Okay, there's 9. So the ones that are habitable are number 3, which is around about Earth's late 15th century in terms of development.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, which is around about mid-21st century. And number 6, which is just coming out of the Ice Age. So they debate it. They think we should go to number 4, and Kirk says, no, we're going to number 6 because Uhura reports high energy generation on that planet, which might be natural, but it's very regular for a natural occurrence.
Okay, but Kirk wants a second opinion.
Yes, Chekhov says that those humans, or humanoids, don't even have an organised civilization. They couldn't have done what this woman did and stolen the brain. And Kirk says he cannot afford to guess wrong.
So he wants a third opinion.
Yes, Chekhov again says planet 3, Sulu says planet 4, and Uhura says, what do they want with Spock's brain? That's not what I've written.
Okay.
And Kirk says, how about the 6th planet with the Ice Age people on it. Cavemen.
And he's the boss?
Yep, so they're going to go there. Sulu says, is that a hunch? And he says, yes. And Chekhov says, what happens if you're wrong? He says, well, Spock will be dead. We'll be fine. All of us will be fine.
Captain's log 4351.5. They are beaming down to the glacial planet with less than 8 hours and 30 minutes left.
Yeah, they've used up 11 minutes having that discussion.
Planet 6. A shivering Kirk, Scotty and Chekhov land with a couple of red shirts.
Kirk asks Spock for lifeform readings before realising that Spock is not there.
Yeah, I quite liked that a little bit.
Yeah.
It's okay. And apparently they've got, for some reason, I've not heard of this before, they've got temperature controlling clothes on. That's just, they've just made that up.
They should have given those to Sulu back in, was it the Enemy Within, when they couldn't use the transporter?
Yeah, and he was down heating up rocks, which we see again.
Chekhov reports no structures or mechanised objects, no surface consumption or generation of energy. But he's fine with the temperatures.
And then Scotty mentions that there are life forms.
Yes, there's 5 men hiding in the rocks.
Yeah, pretty much so. And they're large.
Yes.
We cut to a caveman type approaching them, carrying a club. He spots them and returns to tell his mates what he has seen.
Yeah, they're big men, but they're not as big as the ones from the Galileo 7 episode.
Are they not?
No, they were huge.
They were. Chekhov has no useful readings at this point, but Scotty picks up the 5 chaps out in the rocks, and so they put their phasers on stun before waiting on the attack and then taking out the leader.
Yes, Kirk does with his phaser. And the other 4 men at this run away.
And so, with Chekhov and the red shirts giving chase, Kirk and Scotty approach the fallen caveman and try to get some answers.
We mean you no harm. We're not your enemies, we're your friends. We only wish to talk to you.
You are not the others.
No, we come from a far place. We are men.
Men,
Like yourselves.
you are small. Like the others,
Who are the others?
the givers of pain and delight.
Do they live here with you?
No, they come. They give pain and delight.
Do they come from the sky?
They are here. You will see. The others will come for you. They come for all like us.
Do they come for your women as well?
Women,
The female of your kind.
your words say nothing.
Don't you have a mate?
Mate,
A companion.
Will you take us where we can find the others?
no one wants to find them.
We do. We want to find them. Take us there and we'll let you go.
Captain, 500 meters in that direction, there's a foundation under the surface. A huge one. Registrations all over the place.
Buildings?
Yes, sir. Immensely old, completely buried. But they were here once.
Somewhere down there is where the others live. Scotty, see if you can find a way down.
Aye, sir. No! No! No, you're not going there!
It's all right.
No! No!
Talking about politicians, I think a number of them like a bit of pain and delight. They've often paid for it, and undercover reporters have documented it.
This joke was brought to you by the mid-90s Tory party.
Oh, you think it's different now, do you?
I have no idea.
Okay. It's also convenient that the cavemen speak English, isn't it?
Well, maybe they're being translated from grunts. I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, this frenzied Neanderthal, are they different from cavemen? Yeah, cavemen and Neanderthals aren't the same, are they?
Well, some of them might be.
Right, okay.
It's a different type of humanoid. Let's just move on. Scotty finds a cave.
Yes.
Yeah, that guy ran off when they were debating whether they should see the others, and so Scotty, Chekhov, and Kirk find this cave with food and stuff in it.
Yeah, weapons, tempered metal weapons. And they come to the conclusion that they weren't made by these cavemen. I thought it was going to be Klingons again, because we've seen this before.
Definitely possible. Kirk spots a tripwire in the cave and thinks that the weapons and the food could be a lure, and this wire is a signal that will be given off to somebody.
Now, I would have thought that if you were setting a trap, the food, fine. I wouldn't be leaving weapons.
Yeah, they could use them.
Exactly.
Anyway, they go back outside, being careful not to set off the tripwire, and call Uhura to have McCoy beam down, and tells Chekhov he's waiting on the surface.
Yeah. So at this point, McCoy materialises, but not on his own.
No, he's put Spock in his favourite tracksuit from This Side of Paradise, I think. And he's all gone a little bit Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, he's brought a creepy looking remote controlled Spock. I bet McCoy would love this.
Yes.
But I'm in charge now. I bet he would make him do all sorts of things.
Yes, they cut those obviously from the episode.
Yep, I can control you. What are you doing with my hand? Stop that. Go on, Spock.
Stop hitting yourself, Spock. Why are you hitting yourself?
Why are you hitting yourself in the groin?
Stop punching yourself in the face, Spock.
No, if I was McCoy, do you know what I would do? I would control Spock's hand to make him give me a...
Stop. No, you wouldn't. You would just sit in your own hand and not worry about Spock.
Okay. I wouldn't get any pleasure out of it myself. It'd just purely
Let's
be
just move on.
Okay.
They go back into this
a
cave.
power thing to show Spock the way.
They go back into this cave and deliberately break this tripwire beam so that the door seals and the room drops like an elevator.
A lift. A turbo lift.
You could call it that. Meanwhile, up on the surface, Chekhov's moaning and heats a rock with his phaser.
Yeah, Sulu taught him that trick.
He did. I think he's got a couple of red shirts with him, doesn't he?
He has, yeah. Back in the lift, as they speed downwards with phasers ready, Scotty tells Kirk the power source is getting closer and is apparently strong enough to launch the planet into orbit.
Yes, it's either a nuclear pile 100 miles wide or it's ion power.
Yeah.
They've never really mentioned much about ion power, have they?
No.
It's just a convenient MacGuffin.
They come to a stop, and when the door opens, Kirk is surprised.
Yes, there's a woman. They are reaching for her wristband.
Yes, but in the corridor, Kirk is too quick this time and stuns her before taking the device as McCoy tends to her and tries to bring her back round.
Which he does, and they learn that her name is Luma, and she's confused because they are not Morg and do not belong there.
Kirk demands to be taken to the man in charge. This is the first time there's a theme running through this episode. It's quite misogynistic.
Very.
She doesn't understand what a him is and simply repeats that he is not Morg or I-Morg.
Yes. So I think we learn later that the women are I-Morgs and the men on the surface are Morgs.
She claims to have no idea about a brain, and Kirk gets physical at this point, but I think McCoy backs her up.
Yeah, he says that his readings confirm she's not lying, and Kirk at this point assures her that they do not want to hurt her.
But they will if they have to.
Of course. He asks her where they are, and she doesn't understand the question. She's got no concept of other places.
No, she unhelpfully tells him the place is here, and that her name is Luma, I-Morg, but again states that he is not a Morg or an I-Morg, and asks him what he is. So he goes on to explain, but McCoy stops him.
Yes, McCoy says that her mind is childlike.
Yeah, she's a woman. Oh, sorry, is that Scotty?
Ugh. Scotty has something on comms at this point, and as Luma tries to run, she's stopped.
Yeah.
I assumed you were going to use this as a clip, but you didn't.
No?
No, this next part. Scotty, now, this is where it gets ridiculous. He's got Spock's brain on comms, and we hear Spock saying that there's activity without end. There's no volition. It's fascinating.
Yeah, he seems quite content and pleased. He doesn't seem disturbed or in any way.
He's quite placid.
Mm-hmm.
He's quite pleased to hear from Kirk, though. He says it's a definite pleasurable experience. McCoy asks where Spock is, and Spock is pleased to hear that McCoy is with the captain.
Yeah, he doesn't know where he is, and he thinks it's more likely that they'll find him than the reverse.
Yes, so Kirk urges the others to hurry, and they head off down the corridor with Scotty controlling Spock's body. But as they turn the corner,
the brain thief appears.
Yes, she does. She's wearing purple still, and she has 2 Morgs with her.
But this time, it is they who are beaten to the draw, and they all end up on the floor.
Except for Spock, his body's not affected.
Yeah, he stands remaining catatonic. I don't know if you can be catatonic without a brain. I don't know.
Who knows?
Captain's log 5431.6.
Yes, Kirk explains they've been taken prisoner inside a highly complex civilization hundreds of metres below the surface. He refers to the planet as Seven.
Now I've
We'll
got a
come
note
back to that.
here. Yeah, I've got a note here. I thought it was Planet 6.
It is Planet 6.
Okay.
This comes up later in the trivia.
Right, okay.
The primitive creature they encountered on the surface had warned them about these givers of pain and delight and the frightening consequences of being captured. Ooh.
Yeah, but as we've seen, or as we come to see, they turn out to be a group of hot women.
Yeah. We're in some kind of boardroom now.
Yeah. Again, I'm thinking this is another episode where Kirk has to walk his way to a solution.
No doubt. He just has to keep an eye on Scotty while he's doing it. In this boardroom, you've got Luma and other women, including the women from the Enterprise, who are occasionally giving food to the men.
This is part of the delight.
No doubt. The landing party are still unconscious. They're sitting on stools. I think they're maybe attached to them in some way. The woman from the ship comes in at this point.
Yeah, and then they're brought round to consciousness by using the wristband.
Yes.
Again, when they wake, they notice they now have a device belt around their waist.
Looking thing. It's
Yeah.
made out of little plastic bowls or something.
And it's now their turn to answer who they are and why they are there.
Kirk demands to know where they've put Spock's brain, but they don't understand what he's talking about.
No, he accuses the leader, who I think is called Kara, of taking it while on the Enterprise. She, however, denies doing such a thing or having any knowledge of what happened.
McCoy once again immediately assumes she's being truthful and says maybe she's experiencing disassociation.
Kirk is then pulled up for hurting Luma and warned that it cannot happen again. He apologises and says that they have no intention of harming anyone, but they've shown that they do.
Oh, they always do.
Yeah.
They just lie like this.
They've got no compunction whatsoever.
He'll hurt whoever he has to hurt to get what he wants.
Women, pregnant women,
Anybody.
anyone.
They're told that they're free to leave and go back to their ship, but Kirk says, no, we'll just stay and exchange knowledge.
Yeah, it wasn't really an offer.
No.
However, Kirk firstly wants to speak with the bosses, the men, obviously.
I am leader. There is no other.
That's impossible. Who built the machines?
Who are the doctors? Who operate?
Who controls this complex?
Control. Controller?
Yes, the controller. The controller. Who controls? I would like to meet, to see him.
No, it is not permitted. Never. Controller is alone, apart. We serve controller. No other is permitted near.
We intend no harm.
You have come to destroy us.
No, I promise you.
We just want to talk to somebody about Spock's brain, that's all.
Brain and brain. What is brain? It is controller. Is it not?
Yes. Yes, in a way it is. The human brain controls the individual's functions.
Oh. Scotty. Spock's brain controls.
It's not possible.
Great leader. Great leader. We come from a far place to learn from your controller.
You lie. You know me. You have said that. You came to take back the controller.
He is our friend. You must take us to him. We beg you. Soon it will be too late.
Do not take them, Carol. Do not take them to the controller. They will be prevented.
You must take us.
It's some of those lines again, that's why it's just silly. You know, McCoy delivering it so seriously. We just want to find out about Spock's brain.
Where have you put Spock's?
Anyway, for their cheek there, they are rightly zapped again, and whilst they are rolling about on the floor, Kara and her crew leave to find out what they need to do.
Yeah, a brief Sulu log.
He is hovering about the planet, and Chekhov is acting as a liaison between Kirk and the ship. Is he?
Well, he's meant to be.
Not really, is he? He's just,
He's just sitting
messing
there,
about with the red shirts,
barbecuing marshmallows and stuff.
heating boulders, and going, look what I can do, guys.
Kirk and McCoy at this point are still being agonised, and they discuss how sore it is.
Yeah, they mention this supposed incredible pain that they were in, and that it came from the devices around their waists. And Scotty states that they're being held on with magnets and won't be coming off anytime soon.
No, magnets are very strong.
Oh yeah, well some are, yeah. As Kirk now accepts or understands, I suppose, why the morgues are so obedient.
Yes, he doesn't understand, though, how these childlike women could keep the place running.
No. I mean, there must be a guy behind this somewhere.
Yeah. Also, they've left all of Kirk and McCoy and Scotty's stuff lying on the table.
Yeah, they have. They try and leave, but are blocked by a guard, and as you say, they then spot their communicators, but they're prevented from reaching them by another guard.
Yeah.
Scotty at this point acts in his usual misogynistic way, as we heard at the top of the podcast.
He does, and we get a discussion of this earlier mention of pain and delight, and I think it's implied that the delight is just that they get to look at the women.
I think there's a little bit more to it than that. Not suitable for family entertainment.
Is there, though? Because they don't seem to understand that concept later on. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
The three Enterprise guys discuss in couched terms how they might retrieve their things, believing that the communicator could be key to solving the mystery. And as you might have predicted, their plan is to beat up the morgues.
However, they are again stopped from reaching them by a guard, and so decide to use good old-fashioned violence to overpower them.
Yeah, they're going to beat them up.
Yeah.
They do so because Kirk's far too strong for these huge, huge men.
And what does McCoy do? I think he subdues them in some way.
He's probably got an injection of some kind, yeah. They recover a communicator and Kirk makes contact once again with Spock's brain.
But he isn't much help in identifying where he is being held, and instead seems puzzled as to why they are there.
Well, yeah, he says, first of all, he thinks he has a body that is infinite, but then realises that actually he doesn't have a body at all. He's disembodied when Kirk points this out to him.
Yeah.
He says that they shouldn't have risked their lives unless they had a reasonable expectation of success in their mission.
Mm-hmm. However, as they talk, we see this glowing ornamental object from another room, which we're led to believe is the receptacle of Spock.
Yeah. He thinks it's impractical to think they could restore his brain because McCoy is not good enough.
No, he reminds him of the 24-hour deadline that they have, and Kirk acknowledges that they have less than 6 hours remaining, which is tight, to find the brain and develop these necessary skills.
Fortunately, Spock has now worked out how to tell them where he is, and so sends Scotty a signal to help, and they start to locate that signal, and McCoy has to operate Spock's body at this point.
They follow it out into the corridor with robot Spock in tow, and Kirk asks him to think of a way of getting rid of the pain belts as we see this glowing object again.
Yeah, Spock takes a wee time to think about it and then says, yeah, you need to press the red button on one of the wristbands.
Yeah, so I at first thought they were talking about pressing the button on the belt that they're wearing.
Yeah, no, on one of the women's wristbands.
Yeah. In the control room now, they have followed the signal, and we see that Kara is standing behind this object, looking quite pensive and agitated.
Yeah, initially she has her back to them, but when she hears them enter, she turns around and agonises them.
They're on the floor again, but as they writhe around in agony, Kirk uses the remote Spock to do what?
He walks him over to Kara and makes him grab her by the wrist and press the red button to release them. She
is now panicking and pleading for them not to take the controller away, as they will all die, and saying that he is young and powerful and perfect.
Spock quite likes that.
Yeah, Shatner raging at this. That
yes.
should have been directed at me.
She believes that Spock's brain will give life to their people for 10,000 years and that their previous controller has now expired, so they need him.
They should have thought, I mean, if you've had 10,000 years to plan for this, then you wait until it expires, then get in a bit of a panic.
Yeah, well, he doesn't want to be replaced before he's dead, does he, the old controller?
No, but you can have a succession planning in place. I mean, it might be quite a cushy number. You get someone who's quite smart and older and frail and say, listen, we'll now take your body, your mind. You're going to die soon anyway, and we'll keep your brain for 10,000 years. How about that? Eternal life almost.
Well, there you go. I wonder how strong a brain do they need? They obviously need quite a good brain. They can't just take one of the morgues.
Yeah, you don't want those morons running your planet.
Imagine they took Scotty. They had a misogynist running their entire system. It's like, well, you can't have that. You wouldn't understand this. Air and water for women.
They'd be wearing even skimpier clothes and he'd have a throne.
Prove that you're worthy of it. Slap yourself.
Let's move on.
Yes, so Kirk is able to explain to Spock at this point where he is being housed,
yes,
and asks whether he's circulating all the air, heat, water, etc. for the facility.
Yeah, he says he is, and An angry Kirk now demands to know from Kara how she took his brain, but she denies knowing what went on. And again, McCoy sympathises with her.
Yeah, he says she wouldn't even be capable of doing it. It's quite obvious.
Yeah, that she operates at a very simplistic level, and that mental faculties down here are almost atrophied, through non-use.
Kara refers to old knowledge which can be gained temporarily by putting on the helmet of learning. This is absurd. Which she calls the teacher.
Yeah. We then see what this is as Spock explains that the teacher is a store of taped knowledge left from the people who built the place.
Yeah, and this helmet contains a large store of data that can be infused directly into the priestess leader.
Yeah, a lot of helmets involved in this episode.
Only in a predetermined way, though, apparently. Kirk ignores this and forces her to put the helmet on.
Yeah, it's almost a sort of Doc Brown-esque at the start of Back to the Future.
Yeah, but more aggressive.
Yeah.
We then get a little panel, which looks, I thought, like the one from Assignment Earth, and which in fact is just a reused clip from Assignment Earth.
Ah, okay. Yeah, she is scared. She refuses and tries to run, but Kirk grabs her and promises to protect her. I mean, it's quite a big promise that he can't have any confidence in at all.
No, none at all.
Protect her from what? He
has no intention of protecting her either. He just wants the brain.
Yeah. She starts screaming. She says that it's forbidden that anyone else can use it, and she must not know the secrets.
Yeah. But ultimately she does go quiet before emerging from under the helmet, much more confident.
Yes, and with an explanation.
Gentlemen, the controller's explanation of the functioning of the teacher is essentially correct. However, he is giving no credit to me. I provide the means whereby the knowledge is used. Without me, Captain.
Without you, there could be no delicate miracle that kept Spock's brain alive.
Thank you, Doctor. That was very gracious.
Yes, from the very first, I appreciated your ability.
Good, Captain Kirk. Then you will also appreciate that without the teacher, I would not have the knowledge to use that which you have thoughtfully provided.
That phaser is set to kill.
So it is. That is the knowledge you have brought me.
Kirk at this point gets into a discussion with Kara about killing, in which he's completely disingenuous.
Yeah, she says that if she continues, she'll kill Spock. Why?
Yeah. No, he says that, yeah. But she says, no, his brain will be alive and he'll help them.
Yeah, she laughs at this thought of the controller dying.
She says that their need for the controller is greater than Kirk's need for a friend.
He then tries to use, I suppose, Earth morality. He says that no man can kill another for any purpose, and this is absolute garbage. Lies.
He's killed so many people.
So many people. Of course, you can kill another man for certain purposes. If you're self-defense, or there's many reasons why you could do it.
Indeed, and he has, and we've seen him.
Yeah.
Anyway, at this point, Scotty, who, let's give him credit for a misogynist, pulled off a great sort of feminine move.
What does he do?
He pretends to faint, which allows Kirk to grab the phaser back from Kara.
He now asks for her help, and she confirms that the knowledge that she had on the ship lasts for about 3 hours, but that even if she had it, she would not restore Spock's brain. She's still pretty insistent on this.
But McCoy's got a bright idea now.
What's that?
He thinks if he gets the knowledge, he could keep it for longer than 3 hours because he already has the skills.
Spock, however, points out the risk, what with him not having an alien brain like Kara, and says that he can't allow him to jeopardise his life for him. Now that's, to me, seems not logical and more emotional.
Yeah, it's quite emotional.
Yeah, I mean, the logical thing is that this is what...
They should prioritise savings, but I suppose what Spock's perspective is that it's unlikely to work, therefore it's a risk for a really small potential benefit. Anyway, McCoy's able to persuade Kirk to let him try, despite Kara's objections, and he winces in pain as the knowledge or the teacher is put onto his head.
Yes, it's transferred. He falls to his knees, and when he rises, he now has the confidence of the limitless pill. And he sets about doing what needs to be done.
Yeah, he says a child could do it. We get a captain's log.
5432.3.
McCoy's fixing the brain, but we don't know how long he'll retain the knowledge, and it would kill him if he had to put the teaching device back on him. We don't know that.
No, we've no idea. He's just making that up. Yeah. So we're in this sort of operating theatre. Scott is amazed at the speed which McCoy is working at, and wants a wee shot of the teacher himself. Why? What's he got to do with that?
Yeah,
The last part, I don't trust him.
How to get away with murder.
No doubt. Kara is understandably not happy, as it means they will be destroyed without the controller.
Well, Kirk's figured out a new solution though. They can move to the surface, form a civilization with the Morgs, and resume evolution and control the men with sex.
This is crazy. I mean, he's making this up for a start.
Yeah.
Okay. But what about the Prime Directive?
Well, it's better than killing a man, I suppose.
No, in the past, remember that was the...
yeah, but that only applies to pre-warp civilizations, and she flew her ship out with the ion power, so it doesn't apply to them. They're more advanced.
He's making this stuff up as they go along. Anyway, as he talks, Scotty realises that McCoy is starting to lose the knowledge. He started rambling and sweating as he can't remember what to do, and insists that no one can restore our brain. Now, why could someone else not just put the helmet on?
And get the knowledge and talk him through it.
Yeah, I mean, we could. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily trust it to Scotty, but why could Kirk not put the helmet on and just finish the job off?
Yeah, I don't know. Seems ridiculous.
Because Kara, as far as we know, isn't a trained doctor.
No, exactly, yeah. Anyway, we get a supplemental captain's log where Kirk takes time out from helping to note his thoughts carefully.
What are they?
McCoy's lost this knowledge and he's been drawing on his own skill and techniques to try and continue the operation, but he's faltering and he's uncertain. But Kirk has saved the day by instructing McCoy to connect Spock's vocal cords.
Yeah, so Spock can talk him through his own brain operation.
Do the vocal cords go to the brain?
I have no idea. Well, I suppose they're not. I don't know about the vocal cords.
There'll be a speech centre.
Yeah. So back in the in this theatre area,
Spock seems to be able to speak fine, but needs one more nerve connected to stop being a little bit hoarse. Which happens. McCoy manages to connect that one up, and then Spock suggests that McCoy stimulate individual nerve endings and then seals them off as they identify the correct ones. I don't know what this means.
No.
It's like, well, this one controls the finger, okay, so where are you connecting it to?
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's going to leave one out for a laugh. The one that goes down there, oh no, I'm not connecting that one back up. He'll just have to. Anyway.
They go through some individual body parts one by one, and McCoy gets them all right.
Apart from the vital organ.
Well, he gets a bit annoyed that he's having to take Spock's advice on a medical matter.
Yeah, and we have the usual sort of humorous ending.
Yes.
Or then have
we get time passing, and then he's closing up. He's been successful, but he declines to declare that is the truth.
I think he also mentions that he should never have reconnected his mouth.
Yeah, after Spock sits up and starts going on about something.
And they all have a good laugh before Spock continues with his monologue, and we head off, no doubt, on another adventure.
No doubt. Did you find this plausible?
What, the episode?
Yeah.
No, it was absolute garbage. It was nonsense. I mean,
the reconnection of the brain was perhaps the highlight.
Yeah. I suppose it's effectively brain surgery. It's not without, you wouldn't think that in 50, 100 years' time, with the rate of technology and changes, that brain surgery would be totally unrealistic. And in fact, it probably will happen at one point in the reasonably near future. So it's no more nonsensical than a lot of the other stuff they've got involved in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's a future version of that heart bypass where you put the blood through a machine while the heart's getting changed over or fixed or whatever else.
Yeah.
Did you prefer regular Spock or Weekend at Bernie's Spock?
Regular Spock, I think.
I think he's better.
Yeah.
Okay. I did quite like the remote control.
It was good, yeah. I'd like a shot of it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What happens if your brain's in? Does it still work?
Yeah. You might, that's what may have done. He says, yeah, I've done the rest, but you don't know, I've left a little transmitter bit in there. So at any point I can just take over. Yeah, he's definitely done that.
Do you think Kirk's plan for blending these two societies will be successful?
He doesn't. I don't know. He doesn't care.
He just wants the brain and get away.
Yeah, he lied to her. They're not going to send down. I mean, how are they going to manage this and make sure it's all working? They're never going back here.
Exactly. They don't care.
Yeah. Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll be all right. It's cool.
Yeah. Don't put the hat on. Cheerio.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts?
But they've got this hat as well. So why couldn't they not have created someone just take turns at it? Like pass the hat around the civilization.
That doesn't help them circulate air and... Well, yeah, I suppose you put the hat on and learn how to do engineering.
Yeah.
So you don't need a brain to run it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, like I say, it's an episode that I didn't hate. It didn't make me angry. I thought it was bunkum.
But that's not the only one that's been bunkum.
No.
Like when they feed the machine with rocks.
Yeah. Yeah. With pizza monsters and all that sort of stuff, I don't think you can get too
Landrew
uppity about this.
with his computer god.
Cloud rape monsters and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
That was more stupid.
Yeah, of course it was. Going back in time. Yeah.
Just to watch a rocket launch. Yeah. Okay. Some trivia.
Okay.
It originally aired on the 20th of September 1968. Directed by Mark Daniels. This is the last of his 14 episodes, and you can hear more about him if we go back to the podcast for The Man Trap, which was episode 1. Arthur H. Singer was credited as a story consultant on this one, with Gene Kuhn opting to use the pseudonym Lee Cronin for the writing credit. So you might think it's because he didn't like what happened with the script, but that's not the case. What happened was he'd left Paramount by this stage to work for Universal and needed to hide the fact that he was doing a job for Paramount. Okay. So he used a pseudonym. Singer would go on to...
But why would you use a pseudonym in the first place then? If you've got someone else who's got the writing credits and you're doing a job you don't...
This other guy's a story consultant. So Gene Kuhn, the writer's credited as Lee Cronin, which is Gene Kuhn's pseudonym.
Yeah, but why would you not just give it to the story consultant if you can't
admit... He gets the money for it.
Yeah, okay.
Singer anyway would go on to consult for the entire third season. He also worked on other shows like Decoy, Kane's 100 and Hawaii 5-0, but he's widely considered to have not quite grasped the concept behind Star Trek. And to have been an overall poor replacement for Dorothy Fontana.
Yeah, well, I think that's fair enough.
Marge Doucet played Kara. This was her only Star Trek appearance, but she had a prolific career, appearing in shows like Guiding Light, Santa Barbara, Murder, She Wrote, and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Tell me again why DC Fontana left.
Disagreements, I think, behind the scenes. She came back for The Next Generation first season.
Okay.
Doucet died in 2020 when she was 83. Sheila Layton played Luma. As well as this episode of Star Trek, she also appeared on shows like The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Mannix, and The Odd Couple. She's now 80. James Darris was the morgue that they spoke to on the surface. This was his only Star Trek appearance, but he also appeared on shows like Hawaii 5-0, I Dream of Jeannie, and Mission Impossible. And unlike every other big person that has been on Star Trek, he's not died young. He's now 87 years old.
Is he big?
Well, I think he's fairly big.
Right.
I mean, everyone's big next to William Shatner. Pete Kellett played one of the morgues below the surface. There was guarding their weapons or something, I think. He was in 3 Star Trek episodes. This was the second. He was a henchman for Mirror Kirk in Mirror Mirror in season 2, and he also appeared on shows like Batman, Perry Mason, and Bonanza. He died in 1982 when he was 59.
Any Columbo this week?
No.
Oh.
Trivia-wise, this is the only episode that has one of the characters' names in the title.
Okay.
The casing for the controller was just Nomad from the Changeling, repurposed. This is widely considered the worst episode of Star Trek altogether, which I don't necessarily agree with. It's a bit silly, but...
I looked at the ratings, I think it's 5.7 or something like that, which is a big drop from the average. And whilst I could understand people thinking it's the worst, I wouldn't have... But not that. It's not that
6
by that far,
anyway. 6.6. Sulu and Kirk both wrongly referred to the planet as number 7 during their logs when the star chart and the dialogue at the start.
How did that pass by the continuity people or the script?
Well, they must have changed it at some point, I guess. I don't know. It was number 6 anyway. And in terms of international titles, almost all the countries just went with a literal translation, and even our friends in Japan went for Nusamareta Spock no Zunu, which just means stolen brain of Spock.
Yeah, fair enough.
Next week, second episode of season 3, the Enterprise incident featuring the return of a popular adversary. And in the meantime, you'll find us on social media. We're at Trek Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. can forward it on our YouTube channel if you prefer to do that. And if you go to StarTrekPodcast.com, there's a post up for each and every episode where you can comment with your thoughts, reminiscences and complaints.
So until next week,
cheerio.
Bye bye.